Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Concepts. My name is Josh Bumpas, and I am the marketing project manager here at Robroy. If this is your first time joining us for Coffee and Concepts, this is an event that we at Robroy have been holding several times over the last year or so, and we've really enjoyed it. It's given us a chance to dive deep into one topic, for 30 minutes at a time. And it also gives people like you to ask us questions and get answers in real time. So if you have a question, we'll get to those at the end of this session. You can throw them into the comments, and I will do my best to answer those or hook you up with someone who can answer that question for you. So today we're going to be learning all about the brand new Rocket Rack Configurator. It's revolutionizing the way that people are designing their Rocket Rack sanitary support systems for their electrical raceways or mechanical infrastructure applications. All right, I hope everyone has had a great morning dose of coffee, or if you're starting your first one, let's go ahead and take a sip and get ready to jump right in. Now, if you're here with us today, you probably are already at least a little bit familiar with Rocket Rack, but if you're not, Rocket Rack is a pre-engineered, factory-fabricated sanitary support system for electrical raceways and mechanical infrastructure. It's an ideal alternative to strut because of the patented slot design. There's no cutting or drilling in the field, and the slot allows you to make future changes as well as changes during your installation without having to worry about contamination from foreign matter, metal shavings, paper labels, that kind of thing. So now we can go into what is the Rocket Rack Configurator. The Rocket Rack Configurator is an interactive CAD program that allows project shareholders to build a complete Rocket Rack setup that has been designed to meet their exact application needs. It uses an intelligently designed program to check for real-world interference with design, and on top of that, it can generate a detailed dimensional PDF drawing. When you're done designing your Rocket Rack installation, you get a full PDF with drawings and a bill of materials. You'll also get a CSV file that is a complete spreadsheet of that BOM as well. It's simple to navigate, and it makes planning your raceway system a breeze. I think it's kind of similar to playing with Legos, except instead of Legos, it's racks, clamps, and rods, all that good stuff. So let's jump over to our configurator screen here. To access the configurator, you're going to go to rocket-rack.com/configurator. That's this screen right here. It gives you all kinds of good information about how to use it. You'll hit register now, and that's going to send you to a form. You're going to fill it out, and our team will verify your submission. And once you're approved, you will get login credentials sent to your email. You'll also get a link to the configurator in that email as well. You can click the link, set things up, and start designing to your heart's content. Just make sure you hang on to that link from your email because that is your direct access to the configurator. So just don't lose it. Let's switch over here to the Rocket Rack Configurator. This is the home screen. I've already started setting up this specific project, but what you'll see kind of along the top here is a set of properties. Now, this is what's going to help you designate this specific project for what you need. Under properties, we've got project number, customer, contact, title, email address, and phone number. I've already filled this stuff in to save some time. Just make sure to note that if you don't fill in the stuff with the little red asterisks, you're not going to be able to export the PDF with the dimensional drawings and the bill of materials at the end of this. So make sure you fill that in with what you need. All right, so first we're going to need to add a line item to this project. So we're going to go under line items and click add, and a couple of options are going to come up here. These are all of the different assembly types you can create. We've got trapeze assembly, single post mount, double post mount, inline post mount, flat rack wall mount, and direct mount to wall. Between these options, you can create basically anything that you can imagine with Rocket Rack. Again, that's what makes Rocket Rack so great. It's so easily configurable and reusable. You can use it to create basically any type of infrastructure support that you need. We're going to hit trapeze assembly to start. And this is going to take us to the main screen of our configurator project. We have a lovely 3D rendering of a tinted rack here on the left side, as well as an edit tab over here on the right. Now, if you don't already know, Rocket Rack has three basic rack types. You've got tinted, standard, and flat. Each of them have the patented slot design, which, as I stated earlier, allows you to make future changes. It eliminates the need for cutting and drilling in the field completely, and you're never locked down to a single design choice. You can reuse it endlessly, and you can make changes whenever you need to without worrying about contamination. So right here in front of us, we've got a nice tinted rack. Let's go over the controls real quick. If you're familiar with Revit or Inventor, you might already know some of these controls. On the bottom of the screen, we've got Orbit, which allows us to twist and turn this rendering however we would like. Down here, we've got Pan, which allows us to move this kind of along a 2D plane. And we've got Zoom, where if you click and drag, it will zoom in and out of the rendering. Now, it's also worth noting that if you're on any of these options down here, Orbit or Pan, you can use your mouse wheel to scroll as well, which is what I'm doing right now. And so we can scroll and zoom as well as Orbit at the same time. Up here on the top right, this is where, if you've worked in Revit or Inventor before, you might know these. We've got a 3D cube up here that you can rotate and select the face that you want to view. And additionally, a home button, which will reset the view to default in case you ever need to do that. All right, so let's jump into the Edit tab. This is where you're going to be making all of the changes to the assembly in front of you. All right, so over here, we've got Assembly Details. And assembly is where you're going to put the name or type of assembly being created, and this is going to display in the PDF file that you export once you're all done loading this rack up with all the good stuff. So for assembly, let's call this Tinted 001. The assembly name is limited to 16 characters, so just be aware of that. And next to it, we have area/room, group, and special notes. This is where you can get super specific about where this is going to be installed on site, what conduit run that this is going to be supporting, any notes that you need your installers, contractors, anyone who's going to be viewing this to know. So under area/room, let's say that this is going in the oven room. And under group, let's say that this is supporting conduit run 3. Okay. And date required down here is just when these materials are going to be required to be on your job site. Let's set this for maybe a bit further out. Let's say August 25th, 2025. Sounds good to me. All right, so once we've set up the assembly details, you see the next thing is rod options. So we have 2 pieces of rod in the rendering supporting this tinted rack right now, and the default is bald rod. Bald rod, you're going to have to thread this in the field. You can also change it to rocket rod stainless or rocket rod galvanized. You might be asking, well, what is rocket rod? Rocket rod is an FDA-compliant PVC encased rod. The PVC encasement can be stripped away to an exact length to expose the right number of threads for your installation. So once installed, there are no exposed threads, because exposed threads can become a very weak link. Water, liquid, debris can get in those threads and cause corrosion, which can lead to costly failure. So we don't want that. So if you choose rocket rod, you can choose between stainless and galvanized. You can change the rod diameter between 3/8 and 1/2 inch. And as you can see, that's been reflected on the rendering. You can also choose the rod stock size. So rocket rod comes in 6-foot and 12-foot lengths, and adjusting the rod stock size here, you can adjust it for your assembly based on your needs to eliminate job site waste. And the amount of rod stock total is going to be in this grade box here, so you don't have to worry about that. Clicking this box here will include the rod stripping tool in your order, and this is a specialized tool that allows you to strip the coating away from rocket rod to a number of predetermined lengths, so that way you get the right number of exposed threads every time. It's just like an old-fashioned pencil sharpener. Imagine you've got your rod as your pencil, the rod stripping tool as a sharpener. You twist it, and it peels away the PVC encasement to show the number of threads you need, so you have no thread exposure. So if you click that box, it's going to be included in your BOM and your shipment. And finally, under the Edit tab on this level, we see Location Options. Under that is Level Quantity. Right now it's set to 1. That means we have 1 tinted rack in front of us, but you can update that to 2, 3, 4, or even 5 tinted racks, and that's going to change the rendering here to 4 levels of tented rack, and you can populate these to your heart's content. I'm going to reset that back to 1 for now. Next up is ceiling thread. Now, ceiling thread is going to dictate the length of rocket rod that's going to be threaded into the ceiling or whatever support you're using. So right now it's set at 1 inch. So if we zoom in here and pan over, you can see in the rendering that the PVC encasement has been stripped away, allowing 1 inch of thread to be in the ceiling. But if we were to adjust that to 5, let's say, that's going to change here, and that will be reflected on the BOM as well, showing that the amount of rocket rod you need to order has changed based on how much ceiling thread you got. You just want to be a little bit cautious of how much you adjust the ceiling thread at this time, because you want to be as exact as possible so you don't have any exposed threads on the job site once it's installed. So let's take this back to 1 for now. And finally, floor to ceiling height. This is going to adjust, just so you know, the distance between the floor and ceiling of this installation. It's not going to update on the rendering, but it will show up on the PDF that you export at the end of all this. So if it's a 50-inch distance from the floor to the ceiling, you can reflect that there, and it's not going to change anything here. This grayed out box is just to note that it is hygienic. And as I have stated before, a tented rack has a hygienic design that's sloped. So debris and liquid is going to just shed right off of the tented rack. And that's part of its hygienic design. So this checkbox here is just to note that tented rack by design is hygienic, and the installation we're working with right now is hygienic. And finally, under visual tools, you can click to show the dimensions of your entire rendering here if you so choose. Typically, when I'm designing, I will keep this off just to keep things nice and clean. But of course, you can customize this however you would like. All right, now that we've run through kind of how to set up an assembly inside the configurator, it's time to load this rack up with all the good stuff that you can imagine. We're talking clamps, we're talking U-bolts, we're talking cable tray, all that good stuff. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the left side of the configurator, to the Part Children tab. Right now, we're showing one item, Trapeze Level 1. That's the rack itself. If we click into Trapeze Level 1, you can see here that on the Edit tab now, we can adjust the specifics for this rack. So under Rack Type, we can switch it from tinted to standard if we wanted. And flat is not an option here because flat rack cannot be trapeze mounted. It's not recommended. So if we choose standard here, that's going to update this to a standard rack with the slot put into the leg of the angle. And this is to give better support for higher load ratings and things like that. If we want to switch that back to tinted, this is our hygienic installation with the slot on the heel of the angle, again with that shedding design that sheds liquid and debris. Under rack length, we've got some preset options here. If we choose 24 inches, that looks pretty good to me. We've got 2 slots here for us to play with. And under material, we've got stainless 304, which is typically recommended for your hygienic applications, and aluminum, which is a bit more lightweight. We choose stainless steel 304. And level height is going to change. If we had multiple levels here, the amount of rocket rod between the 2 levels. Right now it's at 10. If we needed 25 for whatever reason, you can see that the amount of rocket rod has changed, and that will be reflected on the bill of material at the end if we chose to keep it that way. Let's reset it back to 10 for now. So we've got the tented rack where we want it at 24 inches. Now we can go up to the Add tab right here, and we can populate this rack with whatever we'd like. We have options for U-bolts, pipe clamp assemblies, sanitary clamps, wire basket, or cable tray clamp. To start off simple, let's hit U-bolt. So as you can see here, we've got a U-bolt populated onto the rack. It's kind of splitting the 2 slots right now, but this works. If we want to go in and change the specifics of this U-bolt, we'll go back over to the Part Children tab and select U-bolt 0. And now, under the Edit tab, we've got options for U-bolt diameter and position offset. We can change the diameter of this U-bolt to whatever we need, say 1.25 inches, and we can change the position to either get it to the right side of the rack or the left side of the rack. If we change the position offset to 5, it's going to move it 5 inches along the right side of the rack. And there you have it. Nice and easy. Now, a cool thing about the configurator is that if I need to add another U-bolt, I don't have to go out a level and manually add another U-bolt. I can just hit duplicate. If I hit duplicate, that's going to put a second U-bolt in the exact same location as the first one. So all we have to do is change the position of it. As you can see right now, the U-bolts are red. They're basically right on top of each other. And the configurator recognizes that in a real-world scenario, that's not possible. So it's not going to allow us to keep it like this. It's showing red. So if we change the position offset, we'll move that duplicate U-bolt out of the way. And if we put in -5, that's going to reflect the U-bolt to the left side of the rack. So if we want it to go left of center, we put in a negative position offset. If we want it to go right of center, put in a positive position offset. And as you see here, we have successfully put in 2 U-bolts, and they have been reflected across the rack here for us. And now we can go in and change the second one to whatever we would like. Diameter-wise, we can say this one's 3/4 if we wanted. We can even change the position offset so it's even further to the left at -8, depending on your needs. That looks pretty good to me. So up along the top of the configurator here, this is kind of our sequence of how far into our customization that we've gone. Right now we're on U-bolt -8, so we're only adjusting U-bolt at the -8 position. If we go out to trapeze level 1, now under part children, we see both U-bolts. U-bolt at position 5 and U-bolt for -8. We click into either of these and we can adjust the individual settings for those U-bolts, or we can hit the trash button to remove them. If we go back to add while we're on this level, we can add something else. Let's add a wire basket. And this is going to populate a rendering of a wire basket, cable tray, basket tray, whatever you're going to use here. This is just a rendering. It's not going to actually put a cable tray in your bill of material. That is provided separately. But what will be added to the bill of material is this hygienic cable tray clamp that is being used to support the basket tray. So this is just a visual representation to help you design better of how you're going to have the cable tray positioned in your application. Just remember that the cable tray is not going to be included in your bill of material. And right now it's showing red because it is interfering with the center of the rack right here. There's no slot there for that to get installed into. So to adjust that and make the red go away, we'll go over to part children, hit wire basket at position 0, and change the position offset. I think to get this to work, we're probably going to need to get this onto the left side of the rack, which means we'll need a negative position offset number. Let's change the position offset to -2. And there you go. It has been reflected over to the left side of the rack. Nothing is interfering. The cable tray clamp is in the slot at a valid location. And as you can see, the U-bolt, or I'm sorry, the hygienic cap nuts that are supporting all of these are also shown underneath the rack. You can also adjust the height and width of this representation of a cable tray if you would like, such as, if you need a width of 4 for whatever reason, or a height of 4. Just remember, this is all representative to help you get a good idea visually of how this is going to live in your application. It's not going to be included in the BOM. The only thing that will be included is the cable tray clamp supporting it. This is looking pretty good to me. We have 2 U-bolts, different sizes, spread out where we need them. We've got cable tray here secured by the cable tray clamp. But let's say we want to add another tier. We don't really have to do anything that special to get another tier on. We just need to go out to trapeze assembly, the outer level here with the assembly details, change the level quantity, and it's going to throw in a second tier. Now, this is set to the standard length of 48. So to adjust the length of this, we would go into the Part Children tab at Trapeze Level 2 and change the rack length to 24 if we wanted it to match up with the first tier. And from there, we just hit Add on this Level 2 tinted rack, and we can add whatever we would like. If we do a sanitary clamp, it's going to populate it into the middle of the rack where there is no slot. So we'll just need to click into sanitary clamp over here under Part Children and adjust the position offset. Let's say 4. Awesome, no interference. Now from there, we can change what type of sanitary clamp this is. We have options for sanitary two-piece clamp for stainless conduit, sanitary two-piece clamp for PVC coated conduit. That one has the black gasket to show that it is for PVC coated conduit specifically, or process hex sanitary two-piece clamp for tubing. This is for a process pipe, and so it's a bit more secure for that, and you can see the shape of it has updated. We can change the clamp diameter to whatever we need, say 2.5. We also have the option for clamps to adjust the clamp rotation. If for whatever reason the process pipe you're supporting on this second level of rack here isn't coming to the rack straight on, but maybe slightly off at like a 5-degree angle or something like that, we can adjust the clamp rotation to be rotated 5 degrees. And you can see hopefully that that has been reflected in the rendering right there. If this is good for us, we can even duplicate it if we want. As I said before, it will automatically populate on top of the existing one. So we'll just need to change the position offset to get it to move out of the way. Perfect. And that one also kept the 5-degree clamp rotation of the first one. So if we go back out to trapeze level 2, you can see now we have our 2 sanitary clamps under part children. And you can click on either of those to change them or hit the trash to remove them. And if we go all the way back out to trapeze assembly tented 001, that's what we named it, we can go in and change between any of these trapeze levels. So if we're done with this, if we're happy with how this looks, we can view the bill of materials. You can view the bill of materials at any time, but now is a good time to look at it and see that every single part number that we've listed on here is shown in the bill of materials. We've got quantities, part numbers, descriptions, as well as the assembly, group, and room or area where this is going to be required. So when you get this on your job site, there should be no confusion at all about where it's going to go because you've outlined exactly where it needs to go. And to get this in CSV form, you can go over to Actions, hit Export BOM, and that's going to download the bill of materials in a CSV spreadsheet format. We'll click on it here. And as you can see, you would need to expand these columns to view the whole thing, but it's all here for you. So you can keep that. As well as, in addition to that BOM, you can go over to Actions and hit Queue Outputs. This is going to export the PDF of this application. It's going to include 2D and 3D drawings with all the dimensions listed, the complete parts list, as well as sub-assemblies, page by page, each rack that you've created, and all the information you need to build those racks once this material arrives at your job site. So while that's processing, you can see it processing under Jobs. And when it's finished, it will show up under Documents. While we're waiting for that to process, real quickly, I just want to hit on a couple of other features on the left side of the configurator. Under Issues here, if you have any interference in your design, it'll show up under Issues. And under Settings, you can change the way that the configurator is set up for you. Right now, I have it with the rendering on the left and the Edit tab on the right. But you can flip-flop that if you want, or you can have them on top and bottom and change that to your heart's desire. Switch that back to left. And while that's processing still, let's click over to an application I did recently for a single post mount. Post mounting, is for freestanding applications. On this application specifically, we've got a double post mount bracket kind of set here to support conduit running vertically. We also have a vertical extension arm here to show conduit running on this side. And again, on the bill of material, it's all reflected here. This is just one great example of how you can build whatever you would like in the Rocket Rack Configurator and save yourself tons of design time. Another application type here is for double post mounts. And here we've got the tented rack that has been modified to be attached to the post, as well as more double mount brackets going off on both sides and more vertical extension arms. Again, this is really super simple and everything is reflected in the bill of materials. Another one here is an inline post example, which allows you to put several rocket posts in a row. Right here, we've got 4 in line with each other. Things are being supported vertically, horizontally, going different directions. Everything is accounted for, and it took me no more than maybe 15 minutes to put this together. So with some practice, you can also be able to do this quickly and easily. Everything's here in the bill of materials. One more configuration example for you is flat rack wall mount. As you can see here, flat rack is being supported by rocket plates on the wall, and the rack itself is supporting an enclosure. The enclosure, just like the cable tray in our previous example, is just a rendering, representative, just so visually you know where it's going to be. It's not going to be included in the bill of material. But what will be included are the rocket spacers supporting it to the rack. And in the bill of materials, you can see that reflected. Let's go back to our original example, refresh that there to see if it's still processing. All right, the job is done. So we will download the folder. It's going to download a zipped folder with our PDF drawing. We can open that up right there. Grab that PDF, and there you go. First page, we've got drawings of our full configuration, as you can see here. Next page, complete parts list with the part numbers, descriptions, weights, quantities, everything you need to put this together. And then from there, we've got our sub-assembly bill of materials, rack by rack. So here's rack level 1 with our U-bolts and cable tray clamp, cable tray not included, and our second level with the process hex pipe clamps that are rotated at 5 degrees. And the last page shows thread lengths for the rocket rod that you're going to need. And that is pretty much everything that I have content-wise today for the Rocket Rack Configurator. As you can see, navigating it is super easy. Now that you know how to use it, you can sign up and create anything that you can put your mind to with Rocket Rack. As you know, this kind of design work used to take hours, if not days, flipping through catalogs, getting the right parts, making sure they fit together, lots of guesswork. There's no guesswork here. You can basically eliminate all of that hard work using our program, export the bill of materials, export a PDF drawing for you, and it is super easy to do that. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. I will say a common question that we get is people asking how they can submit quotes using this configurator. Well, you take the CSV file or the PDF that you download from the configurator, you email that to quotes@robroy.com. That's quotes@robroy.com, and they will quickly get you a quote that is accurate back to you. So that's another time-saving step that we've provided for everyone to allow you to get quotes in that way. All right, let's see. Do we have any questions here? Running out of time a little bit. How do you duplicate the 2-level assembly for a longer conduit pipe run to reflect the correct quantities in the BOM? Duplicate the 2-level assembly for a longer conduit pipe run. I see. So I think what Ryan is asking is how do you take the tinted set that we've created in here, and how do you duplicate that to continue that run over a long, ceiling where you got the conduit run, and maybe you need like 5 or 6 sets of that 2-level assembly. And the way you do that is by asking for that when you submit a quote. It's not in the configurator that you create multiple of the same 2-level assemblies. Once you have the first assembly figured out, then when you submit it for quotes, you would say, like, we would need 10 of these. And it will do 10 of that set is what you'll get a quote for. And I just want to say thank you again for joining me for Coffee and Concepts, and we hope to see you next time.